In the last video in this series, I said this is Mission Xbox. I want to collect Xbox original and 360 games, and I really want to make a push on building that collection, and that's what this series is going to be about. There were a few people in the comments that said, yeah, I understand what you're saying here, and I can see what you're trying to do, but why don't you just incorporate anything and everything into these, but just still focus on Xbox, and you can still chuck in the odd Mega Drive, PS4 game and things like that. And the more I thought about it, the more you're absolutely right. So what I'm going to do going forward is include everything in these videos. I don't know why I was mainly focusing on Xbox 360 and going to focus the entire series based on the Xbox and then have to make separate videos for the other ones. So we're still going to have an how much you've spent counter and how much you've made, and then if there's any credit we'll have that in the center as well, because I was going to have to try and keep credit separate for this series as opposed to my, picking up Mega Drive games, for example. So we are going to focus heavily on Xbox going forward. So there are going to be a lot of Xbox games being showcased in this video, for example, but even going forward. But I won't rule out buying PlayStation 5, 4, Mega Drive, and even Switch, and of course, other Xbox games like Xbox One and the originals. So now that that's out the way, let's get into our very first pickup, shall we? A few videos ago, I mentioned that I picked up a box set in a charity shop. It cost me a £5 and I sold it for £140. Still unbelievable that I managed to find that, let alone get the money for it. I went back into that charity shop recently and I found something else. Now, as I walked in, I saw a basket by the door and it was full of Blu-rays. Now, this is where they normally keep their box sets, Blu-rays, video games. They just chuck them all in the same little basket by the front door and they let people rummage through them. I don't know why they do that. They used to keep them at the back. Now they just put them right by the door. As I was walking past, I saw a lot of Blu-rays and a lot of blue cases. And my first thought was, I wonder if there's a PS4 game mixed in there. And it was a passing thought. I didn't really think that would actually happen. I went in to see if there was any sealed Blu-rays or any video games in there, of course, that I could maybe flip or trade into CEX. And while I was flicking through, I did indeed find a PS4 game. And it wasn't any old PS4 game. This was a pretty pricey one, considering it was in a charity shop for just £2. I have had this in my hand a lot over the last couple of days when I was paying for it, didn't know what to do with it, kept looking at it, didn't know whether to maybe try and play it or keep it or sell it on eBay or something, but I can't remember the name of it. It's Crash something or other. You've seen it on screen. This trades into CEX for £18. They try and sell it, I think, for 28. I had a look at the recently solds and things on eBay and how much you could get for it online, and I could probably achieve around 22 to 25. I didn't really know what to do with it. I was tempted to just sell it and get the cash for it, and that would be the profit in the series. That means that we could go out and spend £25 on whatever we wanted, knowing it was guilt-free. However, I've decided not to do that, and I've taken it to CEX, and I've got £18 in credit. It means I can get the cash for it, or rather the credit for it, instantly. I can go and buy games in CEX without any issue whatsoever. Now I don't have to wait for money to come in or worry that I'm not going to sell it for the right amount, etc. And I don't have to wait for it to sell, and I don't have to worry about sending it and someone complaining that there's something wrong with it. I just take it to CEX, let them deal with it, and I'm happy. So £18 to spend in CEX is pretty decent, but if you remember recently I picked up Mario Kart in a charity shop for £3. There were a few marks on it that I wasn't really happy with, and I was a bit, skeptical, I guess, whether CEX were going to take it, and they did. They gave me £9 in credit. So we've made a £6 profit there, if you will. We've spent £5 in this series so far, then I guess. We've bought Crash for £2 and Mario Kart for £3, that's £5, and we have ourselves a healthy amount of credit. That's £27 in credit. I don't know if I have the footage for this. If I do, obviously I will throw it in here, but ages ago I picked up Just Dance 4 on the Wii in a boot sale. That's how long ago it was, because I haven't been to a boot sale for the best part of maybe 2.5 months due to weather and other issues with my boot sales not going on. The credit value on this was fairly high considering it's a Wii game. When I first picked it up, I paid £1 and I could have traded it in for like 6 or 7 at the time. I waited so long that this has just completely crashed. It's now only a £3 trade, but it's £1 into £3, so I'm going to take it. We've spent £6 so far, and now we have just that little bit more. Another game I picked up in a boot sale, in fact I bought FIFA 21 on the Xbox One and FIFA 20 on the PS4. It was a special edition with Van Dijk on the front. I've kept that incidentally because unfortunately for me, I am a Liverpool fan, but that's behind me. When it comes to FIFA 21 on the Xbox One, I really didn't care. At the time it traded for £1.60. Again, I've left it so long to trade it in, it's now only 90p, but because I only paid 50p for it, technically speaking we are in profit. So in total I got £30 and 90p in credit, and there is the receipt for you should you wish to see it. So £30, probably blurry and you didn't get to see any of that, but £30 and 90p to spend in CEX, having only spent £6.50 in total is, I mean, pretty good going, really. You're not going to get that every day, that's for damn sure. That Crash game really obviously saved us and boosted it up us a lot, but we do have 30 quid to spend in CEX guilt-free. Of course, what that means for the series is that we still are £6.50 in minus, so I do need to buy something somewhere to flip to make the money back, but as this series is going to work, I'm not too worried about that because we're going to let this series run for as long as it does. Like I said in the last video, I'm going to let it run to the end of the year and see where we are with it, and if we want to continue, then we will. I think I will, because I do enjoy going out and buying things to flip and finding things for credit, and I said I was going to get credit, and here we are with 30 quid. So let's go to CEX and see what games I can find. My thought process here, of course, was to try and knock a few games off that list that I have. Now, the list that I made, not a lot of people watched all the way through. Maybe you flicked through it, or maybe you did watch it all. If you did, thank you very much. Appreciate it massively. But there are a lot of games on that list. Now, unfortunately for me, there aren't that many in my local CEX. I think maybe 4. There was the Silent Hill collection, the HD collection, which is around 25, I think. And they did have 2 copies of Lollipop Chainsaw, which is, again, another £25 game. We had enough money for that, and I could have bought them, but I didn't. I've gone for some cheaper options, tried to fill out some of the gaps here or there, and I have actually bought 2 games off the list. So we start off with the very cheapest game that I've bought. This is an Xbox 360 title. There is going to be a theme in this video. This is Resident Evil 6. Now, I didn't actually intend on getting any Resident Evil games on the 360. However, I have changed my mind. I want as many Resident Evil games as I can across all platforms. I still want to get all of the originals on the GameCube. Some of them are really expensive, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And of course, I've started collecting them on the PS4. I have a lot of the remasters and all the rest of it, and I do want to get the newest Resident Evil 4 on the PS5 as well. But yeah, I am going to go for all of them on the Xbox as well. This is a really nice condition game. It didn't come with a manual. I don't know if it ever did. None of them there had manuals, and there was about 5 or 6 cases. So did it ever come with a manual? If you have this game, let me know. But £2 spent on that one. Now, this next game did come with a manual. Very happy about it. While flicking through all of the games, I noticed that the Xbox 360 have an abundance of racing games. Now, this wasn't actually news to me, but it does remind me when I'm flicking through these. I used to play that, I used to play this, I used to love this game. One of the games I really want is Sega Rally. They had it, the case wasn't in great condition, and in fact the artwork had been damaged, so I thought, well, it's not a particularly expensive game right now, I'll leave it. But another racing game that I absolutely loved, for the concept more than anything else when it came out, was Test Drive. This game was phenomenal when it came out. Big open world, loads of things to do, very realistic in terms of graphics at the time anyway. I really enjoyed playing this game. The second one, I don't know if I've told this story before, the second one I got so frustrated with it after about 4 hours of play, I turned it off and never went back to it. And it wasn't because of the gameplay, it crashed and I hadn't saved it from the very beginning. There was no autosave on it for whatever reason. So in Test Drive 2, there was a casino. And what I decided to do was, because I was a bit of a gambling addict at the time, I decided rather than play the game the way that the developer intended and to earn money through racing and all the rest of it, I would go and gamble my way to money. And because I was, I don't know, lucky I guess at the time, maybe quite good at poker, I'm not sure, I spent ages on what I think was the ship that you, I think there was a ship, and you could go on there and you go into a casino, and I spent hours on it. I can't remember how long it was. It must have been 4 or 5 hours just in the casino part. I made loads of money in this casino, and I was then able to go and buy a car, I think. And I was going to go buy a really expensive car with it. And then when I got off the ship, my game crashed. It hadn't saved. And then when I loaded it back up, yeah, I was at the very beginning of the game again, hadn't got any money, and yeah, turned it off. But the first game, absolute banger, loved it. £4 spent on that, so we are going up in value. I do want to get the second one, and I will definitely go back and give that a go, and I'm hoping that the game doesn't crash this time. Really looking forward to putting that one back in to see if it stood the test of time. We're going to jump up in value a little bit here, even though I do have 2 cheaper games on the list, but I want to show you this one because this is one off the list. Now, I did mention this. This had 2 different variants. The one that I was looking at, I think, was far more expensive. Well, I know it was far more expensive than the one that I've actually picked up, and I asked you guys what the difference was. There were a few people who helped me out in the comments saying that you get some extra fighters and things. A few people saying that they weren't sure whether it was DLC required and whether you needed a code or whatever, but I have gone for Mortal Kombat. This is the 2011 edition of Mortal Kombat. The case is a little bit grim on the back, unfortunately, but it is what it is. The artwork looks fine. The other edition they didn't have, where I think it was like £18-20 or something. So I've just gone with the basic one. I'm happy enough to get just the standard version of this game. I really enjoy Mortal Kombat games. I don't claim to ever have played all of them. There are plenty of Mortal Kombat games I haven't played, but I'm more than happy to pick them up and give them a go. They are by far my most favourite beat-em-ups that are out there. Street Fighter, yeah, okay, I like Street Fighter and I'll always go and play them. Tekken, I was never really a Tekken person. Mortal Kombat was the series I always went back to. Really, really enjoyed it. Love the fatalities. And I'm looking forward to giving this a go. And it is complete with the manual as well. £12 spent on that one. So, spending all the money. We've spent £18. And before we go any further, I will tell you that I actually went over the amount that I had in credit. By quite a lot, actually. By quite a lot. But we'll get there. Next game, this is a staple of anyone's collection on any platform that this exists. You need to have it. I'm actually really, really happy that I hadn't bought it until this point, because this was a £10-12 game a while ago. It came down to 8 and I was very tempted to buy it then. I didn't, and it's now dropped to 5. There is no way this drops any lower. This is Portal 2. I remember when this first came out, midnight launch. Not that many people turned up to it. I bought it, of course, at midnight, went home, sat there from around 1:30, 2 a.m. and played it until it was done. And yeah, absolutely loved it. I think I've only played this, though, twice. I played through it once to obviously play through it, and then I went through it all again, mopping up some achievements. So I played it through twice within the same week, I think. Really, really loved it, but I haven't played this for a long time. So I am looking forward to popping this back in again. £5 spent on that one. Really happy that I waited. Like I said, this was more than double this a while ago. So £5 on that game is an absolute bargain. If you don't own this, go and get it. You won't regret it. Down to my final 2 games. However, I do have some more pickups to show you in just a second. And I think I'm going to flip them, even though I could trade them in to get a profit. But we'll see what happens in just a second. This next game, I noticed on the CEX app last night. So every single night when I'm sat down and I finished doing everything for the day, I will obviously be watching some TV and on my phone, as you do. And I always check the CEX app. Always, to see what games my local CEX have just had in that day. I don't know every single game, obviously, but I do flick through in terms of value, and I'll know generally what games are where. I'll go through all the platforms. And on the 360, there was one game that I've never seen before, and one game that there's never been traded in before. And in fact, there aren't that many in the company in general. This is Truck Racer. This does not look particularly great, and it doesn't sound like a great game either, but I've never seen it before, and when I picked it up off the shelf, the condition of this spoke to me. This is crisp. It still has the Xbox 360 seal. It has been opened, but it is probably been played once, complete with the manual and in pristine condition. That does scream to me terrible game, actually, because a game that is absolutely battered and that is covered in scratches and has loads of muck all over the cover and everything is a game that okay, it wasn't loved and it wasn't looked after. However, it has been played a lot. This clearly hasn't been played a lot. £8 spent on that one. I will give it a go and let you know what I think of it, but it does say drive on 48 tracks in fully destructible vehicles. That sounds fantastic straight away. Customize every aspect of the truck, from the engine to the paint, and there is online and split screen. Don't know whether the servers are still up on this. This game came out in, I can't find an exact date when this came out. There is a little bit of an obscurity about it, but I think it's 2012, so it was toward the back end of the Xbox 360 life cycle. That would suggest to me that this can't be as bad as I'm thinking it will be, but you never know. We'll see what happens with it, but £8 spent on that, is that a good deal? I think I can probably get it for £10, £12 online, so no, not particularly, but having used credit, I'm happy. I've never seen it before, chuffed to put it into the collection, and I'll let you know in a future video whether it's actually any good. I'm down to my last pickup, but before I show you that, I'm going to go back to Asda. So recently in Asda, I went and picked up a couple of games. Far Cry 6 on the PS4 and the PS5, and Riders Republic on the PS5. Now, I've since sold Riders Republic. That went straight away. Still have Far Cry 6 on the PS4. Had a couple of offers, not quite where I want it to be, so I'm happy to keep hold of that just for now, because it is brand new and sealed, so it's only ever going to go up in value anyway, really. And I kept the PS5 version for myself. Well, I went back in today, just on the off chance they had something else, and they did. They had NBA 2K23 on the Xbox One for £5, which I think is not a bad deal, or at least I thought it wasn't a bad deal. I checked the CEX app and it only trades in for £4. So if you're looking to buy it to keep it, it was a good deal. But in terms of trying to make money on it, maybe not so much. However, they did have the PS5 version for £5. And here that PS5 version is. So NBA 2K23, I have absolutely no idea when 2K24 is out, or even if it is out already. But what I do know is this trades into CEX for £12. So the fact that I've only spent £5 on this means I can trade it in for 12 and make a good £7 in voucher profit. But unlike Far Cry and Riders Republic, they had two. So I bought two of these for £10. I'm very tempted to keep one, I won't lie to you. I am not a massive basketball fan. I couldn't even tell you all of the rules. I don't understand most of it, if I'm honest, but I've always been intrigued by basketball games. I've never really played one properly anyway since the NBA Jam days of the Mega Drive and remakes of NBA Jam, but I wouldn't mind giving it a go. Having said that, of course, this is sealed, so if I do give it a go, I have to open it, and then if I decide that I don't like it, I've devalued it quite considerably unless I trade it into CEX. But the way that I see it, they won't be £12 trading for that much longer, especially if the new one isn't out yet. Once the new one arrives, this will drop. So I can trade these in now for £24 if I want, which is a nice amount of credit to go and maybe buy Silent Hill HD Collection, for example. I'd only need to add £1, and then effectively that's only cost me £11 because these only cost me a tenner. Or what I think I'm going to do, because we've spent money here today, I've spent money on getting the credit for CEX, but also I'm about to go over quite massively of that credit, so we are going to be using cash. I need to make some money back somehow, so I think I'm going to try and sell these for £15 a piece. The cheapest one on eBay right now is 20 quid all in, brand new and sealed. If I can get 15, I'll be more than happy. And if I can sell them on Vinted, that is more the better, because I get to keep every single penny. There are no fees. So for right now anyway, I'm going to say £30 coming back on these, but we did spend 10, so £20 profit on these games. Do not sleep on Asda. It is one of the best places at the moment that I keep finding games undervalued. There are a lot of games in there, brand new releases even, that are under even Amazon prices. And then of course we come to the final pickup of today's video. It is yet another game off the list, and this one I've been waiting to pick up for a long time. Unfortunately, I've waited to a point where this is the most expensive I've ever seen it, I think, but it's one of those where if I don't buy it now, I'm going to regret it massively in the future when it's like 25 quid. This is Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. £15 spent on this game. I have seen it as low as 10, but like I said, it has crept up to 15. I don't think it's ever been higher than 15, but this, as I've mentioned in the last video, is my favourite and arguably the best Tony Hawk game since the original. Maybe the second one was better than the original, thinking about it. But either way, this is the one that I remember playing the most. Yes, I played this more than I did the originals. Love the music in it, love the gameplay, and just everything about it is just quality. Really, really enjoyed this game. So chuffed to put that into the collection. The one thing I'm not chuffed about, and it's trivial, but I think this is an original Xbox case, not a 360, so it's a little bit darker. So it is a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, it's just a case. I'll get over it, I'm sure. 6 Xbox 360 games going into the collection. Now, like I said, I have gone over here. So I spent £46 in CEX, £30.90 came from credit, of course, so I actually spent in cash £15.10. Together with what I spent to get that £30 credit in the first place, we are minus whatever it is on screen, but with the roughly £20 in profit that we should make from these games, we are now minus whatever is on screen. I can't do the maths off the top of my head, but I've done it all for you. So we have spent however much you see on the left or the right or whatever it is, and then we are still minus whatever you see on the other side. I have 0 credit for CEX as we speak. Hopefully that will change soon, but that's generally what I'm going to be doing going forward in this series. We're going to add all those games to the collection, of course, and I will not rule out, of course, buying Mega Drive, PS4 and all the rest of it going forward. I do still need to build up my Switch collection again. I do actually have a Switch pickup to show you in the very near future, but I'm looking to add more to that before I show you that one. The way I'm going to work out the figures on screen, the amount I've spent is going to be just how much the video game is worth in general. So NBA 2K23 isn't going into the collection, so that'll just be on the profit and loss side of things. I've spent £10, so that goes down, and then we've sold them for 30, so £20 profit goes back on. That's the way it's going to work. When it comes to the other side of the screen, whichever way it is, I'm just going to put down the amount I've spent on a video game. So that was £15. Whether I've used credit or cash is irrelevant. That was 15. So that's going to go in the total game, total spent on video games. So by the end of this series, or at least at the end of the year when we sort of recalculate everything, you'll see that I've spent XX amount on video games, and then you'll see on the other side of the screen how much we're in profit and loss. So you'll be able to see how much money we have in terms of value of video games versus how much it's actually cost us. I think that's the way I'm going to work it out. We'll cross those games off the list as and when I have a physical list to cross them off of, but for right now, 2 of the games that were on my big hit list have gone already. Now, they are the cheaper of the list games, but we've made a start. In the next episode, I will add something that isn't just Xbox 360, but for right now, if you want to go check out that video where I made the list, you can click here, and until the next time, goodbye.